I've always been smaller than my peers, and it hasn't been easy. When I was a kid, the boys wouldn't play with me because they said I was too small and got in the way. The girls didn't mind that I was bigger than them, and maybe they even felt sorry for me. Whenever there weren't enough girls for activities like dancing or competitions, I was always included with them, mostly because I looked like one of them. The other boys were relieved not to be chosen, and it happened so often that I stopped asking to join and just accepted my place with the girls. Eventually, everyone accepted it without saying anything. Over time, I learned how to hang out with the girls. Even in school plays, I was given female roles. I'm not sure why, but I think the teacher assumed I wanted to do it. As time passed, I grew closer to the girls in my classes, and they made me feel welcomed. We went to school together, worked on projects, and studied as a group. I didn't have many male friends because their interests, like sports, didn't appeal to me, and they didn't seem interested in the things I liked. But they were always nice to me, especially since I had good relationships with the girls and could help them connect with the boys. It wasn't unusual for me to be invited to parties by my best friends, and I didn't mind being there, even though the parties were mostly girls, and they did girly things. Their parents never seemed to mind my presence either, probably because I was always polite and well-mannered. One party in 8th grade stands out. There were 7 girls and me, the only boy. We had so much fun playing all afternoon and into the evening that it turned into a sleepover, and I was asked to stay. Everyone wore pajamas, and when I was handed a yellow set with a sheer top and lace-trimmed pants, I didn't hesitate to put it on. Since I was smaller than the hostess, the fit wasn't an issue, and when I wore it for the first time, the girls cheered and said how cute I looked. I wasn't embarrassed because they were my friends, and it was all in good fun. That night, we talked mostly about boys and how they act, and eventually, we all fell asleep on the living room floor. My first sleepover in pajamas was a memorable experience, and my parents didn't mind me staying. After that party, the group of girls started treating me like one of their own, and I didn't mind at all. I admired their confidence, and we became a close-knit group of friends. I started getting invited to more parties. I guess I was fun to have around, kind of like a mascot, but to my friends, I was more like a little brother. They always made sure I had the right clothes to wear since I didn't own any girl clothes. They insisted I wear them, and of course, I did. They loved dressing me up in the laciest clothes, and I never complained. Over time, I grew to enjoy wearing them, and I think the girls found it amusing to see me dressed that way. In 10th grade, I cross-dressed for the first time. Avon invited me to a party, and I agreed, not knowing what it was. I soon realized it was a setup. I was meant to be the model. The Avon lady showed me samples of foundation, eyeshadow, mascara, blush, lipstick, nail polish, and pretty much everything else. I was a good sport about it and didn't resist. Honestly, I liked it. To be truthful, this might have been why the girls liked me so much. By the time I was done, I looked like a beautiful girl. Then, my friends got excited and started playing with my hair. It was long enough for them to add bangs and a few curls, making it look even more feminine. Pam, the hostess, pretended to want to show me something upstairs, and she led me to her room. She encouraged me to put on the clothes she had laid out for me. As usual, I didn't hesitate. I trusted them, and I knew they wouldn't make fun of me. I had always wondered what I'd look like fully dressed as a girl, so with Pam's help, I put on her clothes. When I went back downstairs, I was fully dressed in heels, stockings, a dress, makeup, and styled hair. I loved how I looked, and the girls did too. They said I looked like one of their sisters, and it turned out they'd planned this whole event because they thought I'd always wanted to look like this. They knew me better than I knew myself. I felt incredibly confident and comfortable with my appearance, and I felt closer to the girls than ever. I couldn't help but give them a hug and say thank you. What seemed like a fun afternoon turned into something bigger. We went out as a group to people watch and window shop, and they proudly showed me off. It was a new experience for me, one I'll never forget. I had known these girls for years, but I had never been one of them. That day, I felt sure of myself, like I was born to be a girl. I acted and carried myself with a grace that delighted my friends. I kept the Avon samples they gave me, and they came in handy. Pam kept helping me, letting me borrow her clothes, teaching me how to be a lady, and giving me makeup tips whenever I wanted to dress up, which was often. Eventually, I learned how to do it myself. By the time we were seniors, I started buying my own clothes, and Pam allowed me to keep them at her house. The girls in our group loved seeing me in different outfits, and they made me dress up every time we went out, which was nearly always. They taught me a lot, and I learned quickly because I was motivated. I loved being with them, especially when I was dressed as a girl, and that's how they treated me. It was also interesting to see how it changed how boys interacted with me, especially the ones who had never talked to me before but now wanted to go out with me. When my parents first saw how I was dressed, they thought it was a joke. They didn't question it and commented on how pretty I looked, saying things like, "You should have been a girl, or you look so pretty, you should dress like this all the time." Wanting to help them understand, I started dressing this way more often, telling them I was simply following their advice. Over time, they realized it wasn't a joke and accepted my appearance, as long as it made me happy, which it did. After high school, Pam and I went to the same college, which worked out well. She continued to support my cross-dressing journey. I focused on becoming more feminine, taking care of my skin and hair, removing body hair, and undergoing electrolysis treatments to get rid of my beard when I could afford it. I even got my ears pierced. I would sometimes attend large lecture classes as a girl, since there was no roll call. In the crowd, I was just another small, pretty girl, and I loved it. It was liberating because no one paid much attention to me, but I did catch the eye of a few boys. Most of the time, I wore girl clothes, even when Pam and I studied together. Pam worked in retail sales at a department store, while I worked as a librarian, of course, a female librarian, since I looked and dressed like a girl. At the public library, no one ever questioned my gender. Regardless of what I wore, they always assumed I was a girl. I felt completely at ease in my work, and the income helped me pay for college. I really wanted to attend all of my classes as a woman, but I wasn't sure how it might affect my future job prospects. After high school, Pam found a husband, and I found a wife. When I started dating Karen, I told her about my desire to cross-dress. I had to tell her because it was becoming harder to hide. It felt natural for me, given how many feminine traits I had adopted over the years. Karen had thought I was a girl when we first met. Both of my ears were pierced, I had no facial or body hair, and my hair was in good condition and at a good length. Years of dressing as a girl had made me walk and talk in a very feminine way. When Karen saw me dressed as a girl, she was impressed but not particularly a fan. I explained that I had grown up mostly around girls and had dressed in both genders. Karen was very accepting of it all. She loved me for who I was, not for how I looked. She thought it would be fun for me to occasionally spend time as a woman, as long as we could be together. She just wanted me to be happy, no matter what I did. Since we've been married, we've done a lot of girly activities together, traveling, shopping, and just having fun. She's happy to have a husband, a live-in girlfriend, and a shared closet. We're the same size, and I'm grateful that I can continue expressing myself the way I have for most of my life. Sometimes, being small really pays off. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out my Patreon for more content and early access to my YouTube videos.